Thanks for downloading this episode of the Boomer and X Show. If you want to help us out, you can get the word out there. You know, we go Facebook, go Twitter, I don't know, hire one of those guys who spells stuff out in the sky with an airplane. Just get the word out, whatever you got to do.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show. Hey John, you know something I noticed?
What'd you notice?
You hear that song?
I do hear that song.
So I was watching, I don't even remember which game it was, but FanDuel commercial came on, and this was in the background.
Yeah,
because you called me up, and I was like, I know.
Well, I was sitting and watching the game with a friend, and so this commercial comes on, and there's that, and I explained. I said, wait a minute, that's our, and she didn't realize kind of what a unique thing it was because I told her how we came to have this as our intro music. Yeah, it's crazy. I FanDuel, I mean, I'm guessing one of their people went and grabbed it off of this website that we got it on. And we got it off of pond5.com, and where they have thousands of songs and sound effects of
royalty-free
music. And so you pay a few bucks and then you can use it as you wish.
Yeah.
It was obscure.
Yeah.
And I had never heard it. We pulled it off of there, and then here a few months later, we hear it on a national
TV
commercial.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So, yes, it was.
So well, I'm feeling good. I mean, I've been up a while. Obviously, a 2.5-month-old little girl doesn't care if you got to get up early to do a podcast. So
no, she doesn't. But we missed last week because you combined chili and year-old turkey. What happened?
I don't know. I mixed chili and gumbo or something. Yeah, chili and gumbo.
Yes, and you didn't eat one after the other. You put them together.
I did mix them. Yes, and it was not fun.
No,
I woke up the next morning
and you
I had a hangover or something. I mean, it was bad.
And told me that you would not be coming over to record a podcast.
I almost didn't even go into work that day. So, anyways, so this is another sports short.
Yeah, sports shorts coming up.
So, like John said, we missed last week. A lot happened, but a lot happened this weekend. I mean, so let's get right into it. We're gonna hit it. We're gonna do SEC news, then some NFL stuff, like news, games. Last week NFL. No. Last week, NCAA, and then NCAA upcoming games, and then some NFL upcoming matchups.
Upcoming matchups in the NFL, and we're also going to hit, while we're talking about that, we're going to hit some teams that are currently undefeated, and there's still one team out there that is defeated. That is defeated every time they walk out onto the field, and they're a real mess. But so let's get right at it. SEC this past weekend, something happened with South Carolina. They had a weather situation, a major catastrophic historical flood. So they moved the game on about 3 days' notice from Columbia, South Carolina to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yep. It was, so I actually wrote up on the board, LSU at South Carolina,
right.
Little parentheses.
So and I watched the game, and I watched most of it on television. And afterwards, something came up afterwards. Leonard Fournette, who had another big day, but not a 200-yard day, but he reads a statement in his post-game interview where he's talking about his feelings toward the people of South Carolina, because he can relate to this, because as a 10-year-old, he spent like 4 days and 4 nights on an overpass in New Orleans in Katrina.
Yeah.
As a 10-year-old kid, he was a part of all of that mess 10 years ago. So he can relate. So what he wants to do, first of all, he wants to read a statement and say, we're with you. But then he wants to offer up his jersey to be auctioned, and the proceeds going to any number.
Is he doing that jersey, the South Carolina LSU game?
I assume it's that one. Yes.
The reason I ask is because they haven't. That's a historical. Them wearing those purple jerseys back to back like that. It hadn't happened in 22 years.
Right, because they're home whites, which is unusual. It's usually home darks, but LSU always wear home whites. But they wore home
darks.
They wore
away.
Their road.
Yeah.
Yes, they're away jerseys.
And kind of props to LSU. I mean, even
the band. The band played.
The Mad Hatter. He got out there and told the fans not to cheer like it's a home game. Like he said it half-heartedly, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
but the band did.
The band learned
the alma mater.
They learned the alma mater, and the fight song.
They did that. So props to LSU and the administration and the fan base for showing
trying
some sportsmanship.
Yeah. But back to the jersey.
Yeah, back to the jersey.
So this is a big deal. Man, I didn't even start the timer.
Okay, all right, we'll start it now.
So let's start it now. 5 minutes in now. Okay, but so NCAA said in his post game, NCAA, I wanted to, but NCAA won't let me. It kind of seemed like one of the coaching staff was like, yeah, good idea, but the NCAA won't allow it.
Right.
So later on, NCAA tweeted him or got a hold of him and
said,
we didn't say that. That's fine.
Right, you can do it.
So you and I guess, kind of agree. That's kind of opening up a little bit of a can of worms.
Well, it does open up a can of worms because the NCAA's point for not paying players directly, and I mean, you can get into the discussion whether they're, quote, paid or not.
Yeah.
If paid being compensated, then I say they are, but that's a different conversation that we'll have someday on the show.
Definitely.
But saying that the teams and the schools are the value.
Yeah,
and the individuals are not the value.
And then
that's how they stand on not being able to pay.
And if you let this jersey sell, which they are apparently, you can get what value, kind of what a player of his magnitude is. And
so this may very well open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
Saying that an individual player at the college level represents
it kind of shows. All right, you say that the team, the school you play at is the value, but now you're kind of saying that this player is an asset.
Value.
Yeah.
So if his jersey brings, let's say, $5,000, whatever. I don't know. It may be 1,000. It may be 10,000. I don't know. But let's say it brings $5,000. Then that represents the value of that high-profile player who is the current lead in the Heisman conversation, which is still too early to be having, but he is. And he's willing to give that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
What happens if, some other player says, well, I want to do the same thing?
Well, because there was talk last week about, well, he should just stop now and start selling his autograph.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if people will make this comparison. Well, he could do it if his jersey sells for $1,000 or whatever,
So, but what if some other player says, well, he did it. Now I want to do it, and I want to give it, and say this player makes something up.
Yeah.
He wants to give it to.
Oh yeah.
The Red Cross or Joe Bob's
neighborhood pocket foundation.
So while it was a great gesture, I just think it does probably open up some issues to be dealt with later by the NCAA and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, and I want to get back into, we'll hit it in a, not a sports short, but an episode where we can really get into, should we pay, should we not, stuff like that. But let's get to Georgia running
back Nick Chubb's season is over.
Did you see that?
I did not see it. I heard that it's one of those you don't want to see.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, they wouldn't even show the replay. All right, remember, what was it back in March Madness that, was it Cardinals player broke his leg in half or something? Basketball?
Yeah.
It was on that magnitude.
Yeah. It was a couple of 3
where
years
it was
ago.
Like... Yeah. Where he snapped his tibia and fibia or whatever, everything. And then players on the bench were over there screaming.
Right.
It was the same thing with Nick Chubb. Everyone who walked around was you could just see them I mean, these are football players. They're supposed to act tough.
Right. These
and
are
they
tough
were
guys.
not acting tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was crying and yelling, and who wouldn't?
God, you hate. I mean, you hate to see it, and you hate to see it.
And, I mean, he was an NFL. I mean, not NFL. Well, probably NFL contender, but
sure.
Heisman
talk. He was in the Heisman Chad, which and with all of the kind of going back to Fournette,
exactly.
I'm like, every time he gets into a pile, I'm nervous. So I hate it for Chubb. I hate it for Georgia fans. who now are also on the field, back-to-back losses.
Yeah.
An ass beating at the hands of Alabama, who we both said Georgia would win.
We
that
did
game.
say that.
So we were wrong. Yeah. We fess up. We were wrong.
We did say
on that. Although we should, if we really a little more look at Georgia's history in big high-profile games under Mark Richt, we would have gone the other way. Florida quarterback Will Gears suspended. Evidently, he walked into his neighborhood GNC
he got some over-the-counter stuff, and I guess he was taking it, and I don't know if he probably thought, I'm sure he was illegally taking it, and he knew it, but the story is he didn't get it checked. He wasn't sure, and here's my beef with this. He's suspended for a whole calendar year,
right?
So he's going to miss some of next season too. So we have Antonio Gates came back last night from a 4-game suspension for the same thing, PED.
Yeah.
He, at his disposal as an NFL professional, he can lay out all the crap he's taken and say, "All right, show me." He's got trainers that are just there for him. Show me what I can
go
do.
And a no-go. Yeah.
This kid doesn't have that, and I'm not. You shouldn't. You taking enhancement stuff, you should be penalized, but. A year? Come on. I think it's a little unfair.
I'll give you 5 letters the reason why the difference is. NFLPA.
NFLPA, what's that?
In National Football Leaguers Players Association.
Oh, okay.
Or if you want to go CBA, Collective Bargaining Agreement.
So was that keeping the money
Well,
on the field?
That's NFL players are unionized.
Yeah.
So they're going to negotiate all this crap in that direction. College players are not unionized, which could also go in the conversation that we will have someday about paying players. Spurrier retirement.
It happened last night.
Happened Monday night.
12 hours ago.
The
update I got was Spurrier retirement effective immediately.
Right, so he's done. I guess if you give up 200-plus yards to LSU's passing game, you figure it is time to walk away.
Oh, man. Now I was going to talk about how good their passing game, and now you're just shaming it. But, yeah, Spurrier, I think he should go into broadcasting. Sad day for
he is so. I was always glad when he was coaching in the SEC because I always thought the SEC was a more interesting place with him in it.
That's true.
I really did.
True.
His press conferences are epic.
He doesn't hold back.
He doesn't. He says exactly what he thinks, and he didn't hold back as a coach, especially in his glory days at the University of Florida when he brought the fun and gun and took the SEC from the 3 yards in a cloud of dust into the future with the passing game.
Yeah.
He walks away with an overall record of 228, 89, and 2, and with a national championship from I believe 1996 under his belt at Florida. He also won the Heisman Trophy as a quarterback at Florida too.
Yep.
So Spurrier, we'll miss you.
Oh, he's not. He's going to be around.
NFL injuries continue.
Jamal Charles ACL.
Whatever
it is, he's out for the season.
He's out for the year.
Kansas City that was their guy.
That's their offense.
Alex Smith. Only thing I like for him is fantasy. For me, I have Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Alex Smith will figure out how to throw it to him.
Kansas City was already 1-4, 1-4.
Yeah.
They're already. I really expected more out of Kansas City this year, but when they let that Thursday night game to Denver get away from them a few weeks ago, they've just been a dumpster fire ever since.
Pittsburgh Steelers, Martavis
Bryant was coming back from suspension, hurts his knee in his first practice, so he's out. However, just last night, the Steelers got a much-needed road win without Big Ben playing quarterback. Mike Vick, who I still don't like as a quarterback, even though they did win last night.
That's why.
That's how they won it. One of their touchdowns was a pick six. Now, we'll give Vick credit for this. There was a long pass. The horrible coverage by the defense.
Yeah, it was like 3 blown assignments.
Yeah, the guy was wide open, and he had to cut in to get the pass, but he got it. And, there are a lot of passes in the NFL completed because of bad coverage. It is. But I did like Vick's run in that game-winning drive.
20-something yard.
I think it was 26-yard run.
Well, he only needed 2.
Third and 2, 3rd and 3. But I did like that. He took off, went right up the middle, showed his speed, And
got him.
Man, what a gutsy call, though, with 5 seconds left by Tomlin.
Yeah.
Instead of going for the game-tying field goal and sending it in overtime,
let Bell
take it, and he was stopped well
short.
Before
he had to get physical to get in there.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about the debacle that is the New Orleans Saints and the Dallas Cowboys.
Stanky.
I watched the game against Philadelphia, and it seemed like every play was either a penalty or a turnover.
Who's that?
The Saints.
Yeah.
They made Philadelphia look. I mean, DeMarco Murray actually got yards.
And see, we thought Sproles, fantasy-wise, was going to do good because historically, players when they return,
going against their old team, they do well. Yeah. I think that was the one thing.
Andre Johnson did it Thursday night.
He did,
and you looked at me and you're like, that solidifies my decision on Sproles.
So the Saints managed to do one thing.
Stop Sproles.
Oh, my God. But look, the Saints just aren't any good.
Yeah, that's true.
Breeze is, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not buying this injury thing. The arm is just not what it was. It's not. They don't.
What's his timetable, Breeze?
He played.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Man, okay.
Yeah. The 2000. Let me put it this way: the 2015 Breeze played.
Well, I could have swore I heard something about the secondary guy in there.
No,
the secondary guy didn't play at all.
No, McCall. No, Breeze was in there the whole game.
Huh. Okay.
So, but the 2015 Breeze, not the 2013 Breeze.
Yeah.
No, that's all.
Speaking of secondary quarterbacks, for Dallas.
Yeah.
He is probably all right. So they're going on a bye week 5.
What's the guy's name?
Matt Castle's getting.
Yeah, what's the Whedon? Whedon is like 0-11 as a starting quarterback. Castle comes in.
So they picked up Castle 3 weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure
after the bye, he'll play. But look, the Cowboys are 0-3 since Romo went down. Des Bryant's gone. Even the run, Lance Dunbar is gone.
They just don't have any options, really. I mean,
the offensive line isn't playing well. They got absolutely spanked this weekend.
All they have to do is shut down the running game. Any team that plays them, that's all they have to do.
I mean, I don't think Castle is.
They're going to be the savior of this situation.
No, and when the injury thing first happened with Pittsburgh and Dallas both losing their quarterback, we said which one is in worse shape without.
I believe we settled on Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh being in worse shape.
I don't know. They're both kind of.
They got a road win last night. They did. So I mean, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
If you get a road win with your backup quarterback, that's a bonus.
Well, for Pittsburgh, I mean, the road ahead.
Yeah, they've got a tough schedule. They
might beat Kansas City at home next week. No. Arizona.
They
might, but if they don't.
What is surprising is, and you touched on it a while ago, the Pittsburgh defense is actually playing well.
Yeah, they are.
They are playing well. So,
you got Greg Hardy. You got something here about Greg Hardy?
Yeah, back to the dumpster fire that is the Dallas Cowboys now. So Greg Hardy comes back off of a suspension, a domestic violence related suspension, by the way. And the first time somebody shoves a microphone in his stupid face, he starts talking about, I hope Tom Brady brings his hot wife and her sister to the game. What the hell? That's stupid on so many. It's inappropriate. It's wrong, and it's stupid on so many levels. It's hard to even talk about it. But go ahead and give Tom Brady some more motivation so that he can come out and lay waste to your ass 30-6. Now, the guy did get his sacks. He got his sacks, and if that's all he wants, then I guess he's happy. But he also was on the wrong end of a 30-6 score. So go get him, Hardy.
All right, so with NCAA last weekend, let's go straight into LSU at South Carolina at home.
LSU at South Carolina in Baton Rouge.
What was the end score on that one?
45-24, I think. LSU actually covered.
They did.
The line was 19.5, and they won by 21, and it surprised me. It
did me too.
Something else surprised me. They threw for over 200 yards.
Well, they did definitely balance their offense out finally.
Yeah.
There were some drop passes like there were last week against East Michigan, but some easily dropped passes too that just would get into your head, but it seems like they got over it.
Yeah.
Something I noticed is the angles that these guys are trying to hit Leonard Fournette at to get him down. They're crouching down to their knees, and hitting him at like 45-degree angles. That's the only way they're getting him down.
It's funny in the broadcast coming back after halftime.
Uh-huh.
The announcers actually say, well, we expect Leonard Fournette to put on his – they're actually saying this, to put on his cape, because he had a mediocre first half.
He did. And
put on his Superman cape and do something. So the first play from scrimmage is run, and it doesn't get anything. And they're saying, well, he didn't run 98 yards and a touchdown on the first play. Lo and behold, he runs an 87-yard touchdown on the second play, and they're joking about, okay, it took 2 plays for it. So it was really kind of funny. They're sitting there saying, okay, where is the big play? Yeah. And boom, there it was right there. So LSU looked a little more balanced, but look, again, I'm still going to say this. They still haven't beaten a good football team.
Yeah.
They have not.
That's true.
So
Texas, actually, I got to say this off air. And it should have been on air if I would have showed up to record. But off air, John said Texas is going to have a huge upset over Oklahoma. Yeah,
and here's what I was basing that on. Texas was, they had hit rock bottom where they had gone up against TCU the previous week, and I think at the end of the first quarter the score was 112-0. So there's that, and then you've got players sitting in the locker room at halftime tweeting, "I'd rather be fishing" or whatever, and so then there's all of this, and then you've got Oklahoma coming up, and Bob Stoops is always good. The Oklahoma head coach is always good for a loss where it shouldn't be. You can always count on that out of big game Bob, a loss where it shouldn't be. So the Red River rivalry is coming up. They play this game in Dallas at a neutral site every year, and it was time, rock bottom, it was time for the players to rally around Charlie Strong. If it was going to happen at all, it was going to happen going into the OU game. And sure enough, they beat them. And with a 2-4 record, then
what was the spread on that one? What was the odds? I guess
I think it was like Oklahoma by 19 or something like that.
Wow!
Oh yeah,
so huge.
It was huge.
And you called that. Good job, John.
Well,
you now our fans. I don't know if they'll believe us or not. Well, we didn't get it on the air, but we're the best predictors of games off air. Y'all should see us. We get them all right. Bama versus Arkansas. They were at home.
It was at Bama.
I put Coach Be Crazy. What does that mean?
The Belima or whatever the
head coach
of Arkansas. Yeah. First of all, he's always doing and saying something that's drawing attention to himself in a negative way. It's happening frequently. And so there's a little bit of a scrum going on at the end of a play amongst players, just a little bit of a thing going on. Over on the sideline, he inserts himself into it, and then goes flailing back like he's taking a flop in an NBA
game,
and draws a flag
on the player,
on the Bama player, and then celebrates like an idiot. Coach, way to teach young men how integrity. Just way to go.
Well, this goes back to is the NCAA getting these kids ready for the NFL?
Some are. Well.
And it's people like this that I say, and organizations that let this guy.
Well, this guy is following Mr. Let's take our mistress on a ride on the motorcycle and then lie about that. So Arkansas, when they're hiring, they're not doing a good job of vetting for character. And after looking good out of the gate, he's not looking so hot as Arkansas's coach right now.
Well, Bama's definitely looking better, and I saw a little headline on they're the team to beat. And what do you think about that? I guess going on into next week,
this coming weekend, we've got 5 matchups.
I like them at A&M. That's going to be a great game.
Well, we have it is a great game, but we have 5 matchups with both teams ranked, and Bama at A&M is one of them.
Yeah.
I like Bama, but I will say this: it's at A&M, and last year Bama beat them 59-0.
Yeah.
So
if there was a revenge game, this is it.
This is it. So we will see.
Yeah.
If A&M is for real.
Yeah.
I mean, they're undefeated. They've looked fairly good, but we'll see. We'll find out.
I mean, these revenge games and these rivalry matchups, you throw stats out the window.
Right.
I mean,
right.
So
I don't consider A&M and Bama a rivalry so much, but this is definitely a revenge game.
So Bama, I mean, just 2 weeks ago we were saying they kind of look bad, and they're turning it around. So you like Bama winning this one?
I'm gonna go with Bama.
Okay, me too. Even though they're at Texas A&M, and I think they got it.
There are 4 other games ranked, and we'll hit the 2 minor ones first real quick. Northwestern and Iowa. Northwestern was looking really, really good until they ran into Michigan last week and lost 38-0.
Yeah.
Michigan's 3rd straight shutout, by the way. Stanford and UCLA, a Thursday night game.
It's coming up,
coming up two nights from tonight, yes. So that will be one that I'll be recording and watching when I get in on
from
Thursday.
work. Yeah.
Yes, from work on Thursday.
Michigan State.
It's at Michigan, I believe. We did mention here on the show in our
preview.
Yeah. In our NCAA NFL college preview, Michigan became relevant the moment they hired Jim Harbaugh.
And Harbaugh, they're talking about Coach of the Year already.
Show me another one.
Yeah.
I mean, show me another. And it's early again.
It's early. Yeah.
It's early October, but
yeah,
they had I think it was a 3-point loss at Utah, game 1. Then and they have 3 straight shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't given up a point in 3 straight games. Northwestern came into that game ranked 12th and undefeated. Michigan beat them 38-0. Now they host Michigan State, who's ranked 7th and undefeated, but they've not looked all of that impressive lately. One of the things they were ranked on was beating Oregon. Well, as it turns out, Oregon's losing to every damn body now. So I'm going to say Michigan in a rout, and they won't take their foot off of the gas.
No, they're at home. They won't
take their boot off the throat.
No.
That's the way Harbaugh is.
Yep.
And I'm just a fan of this guy, and I think Michigan is not only relevant.
So I think that's the team to beat. I mean, I saw that Bama headline. Bama's team to beat. I really think Michigan's the team to beat right now.
They're playing the most impressive ball.
Yeah,
they really are.
LSU at home
against Florida.
Florida, who has no starting quarterback. Well, they have a starting quarterback, but it's not their QB1.
Will Grier, and we touched on this earlier, is now out because of suspension. And when I first heard the news that he was out, it didn't really, as far as the outlook on the game, to me didn't mean a whole lot because they've been winning with defense. And they haven't been.
That's true.
They haven't been winning because of their quarterback.
He's not a star quarterback. Makes the game what it is.
In 6 games, he's thrown for 1,200 yards. That's 200 yards a game. I mean,
so you're right. Their defense. They have a good offensive line, so they got a good good running game.
They're balanced, and he's not terrible. And I don't know what the second string guy is. He may be horrible, but
this is going to be a huge game no matter what.
Well,
I mean, huge.
Both
game.
Undefeated and both ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
I was in 2007. I was at the Florida LSU game where LSU went for it like 5 times on 4th down, 3 or 4 times in the game-winning drive late in the game where it was 4th and 1, give it to Jacob Hester. 4th and 1, give it to Jacob Hester. And oh my gosh, what an atmosphere at that game! It was unbelievable. And I'll always remember something else in that game. They announced after an LSU touchdown, and we were in a commercial timeout, and the stadium was already buzzing after the touchdown. But they announced LSU was ranked number 2 at that moment. USC was ranked number 1. They announced that USC had lost to Stanford.
So LSU is now number 1.
And LSU was now number 1, but it was USC losing, which was really the big thing.
Yeah.
And I won't go into the history of LSU and USC, but it was losing to a Stanford team that was a 42.5-point underdog.
Wow.
Who was coaching Stanford?
Harbaugh.
Yes, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Which was the moment I became a Jim Harbaugh fan because he was sticking it up.
You were like, wow.
He was sticking it up Pete Carroll's butt and breaking it off in there, and that's when I became a Harbaugh fan. So I'm kicking around the idea of going to Tiger Stadium Saturday night. If I don't, it'll be because I want to sit and watch some of the other great games.
That's the same thing I was saying. Like, man, how do you miss all of those great games? I mean,
I know, and that's why I just love college football so much because and especially weekends like this where you've got so many games going on. Both teams ranked.
Okay, so real quick before we go into NFL, give me a prediction on this LSU Florida game.
before the quarterback situation, LSU was already a 7.5-point favorite. It'll probably be even more now. I started to say I have underestimated LSU all year, but I still keep saying
you're
they
definitely
have
a tough on them. That's for sure.
it's tough love.
Yeah.
I want them to be great, and I just don't think they are. I'll say LSU.
I'm saying Florida.
But I don't think LSU covers, especially if the line goes up because of the quarterback deal. It was already 7.5. So you're saying Florida wins?
Yeah.
I'll go with LSU.
50-50 chance of the Boomer Next Show getting it right.
No, 100% chance of one of us.
Yeah, there you
getting
go.
it right.
100% chance the Boomer Next Show is right. We should do that with all our predictions.
NFL coming up?
Yeah.
Thursday night game, first of all, Atlanta at New Orleans. The line is only 3.
Wow, really?
Atlanta 3-point favorite.
I would say Atlanta maybe like 14.
I would too, although, as I'm counting on Matt Ryan and Julio Jones to help me in fantasy, they'll probably both break arms or something. But, I think Atlanta just rolls it up on them. I mean, Atlanta's
Why is the line only 3 on that?
I guess because it's at home, I guess.
But the Superdome at home isn't what it was last year or the year before.
Well, the year before. It wasn't any good last year either. They
Yeah.
lost 5 straight at home last year. And the only team that the Cowboys, that the Saints have beaten is the Cowboys, and that was in overtime. And the Cowboys are terrible right now because they aren't the Cowboys anymore. From last year, certainly. I think Atlanta rolls on this. I just really do.
Let's do some all the undefeated teams. Well, let's start since there's only one of them. The defeated team. Carolina 0-5.
No, Detroit.
Why did I write down Carolina?
I don't know.
Okay, Detroit.
Detroit's 0-5. They benched Matt Stafford last week after his 3rd interception. They're not any good. Stafford's not getting it done.
Yeah.
Their running game isn't any good. There's nothing to like. There's nothing to like.
We have 6 5-0 teams, and Carolina is on that list.
Carolina's on that list, and you transfer them over to the other list. I'm not a believer in Carolina. They don't have an offense. So far, they've relied totally on Cam Newton, and I just don't think that's a recipe for long-term winning. But Atlanta is another one. To me, they're looking a little more balanced. The defense is playing a lot better than they were playing last year. They have a new head coach, and I think more than anything else, it's that.
Well, Devontae Freeman.
Well, running back.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing it right now.
Well, he sure is. After I lost patience with him and let him go in fantasy.
Dropped him after, 2 weeks?
Yep.
Yeah, and then I picked him up and spanked your booty with him. New England, that's New England, Green Bay Broncos, that seems like every year they're in this little talk of top teams.
The Broncos have had 2 games this year without where they did not score an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, and I can't believe the Broncos are in that list. Honestly.
I can't either. And how long does it last? 2 of those wins are against Kansas City and Oakland.
Yeah,
to me, the Broncos are not where New England and Green Bay are.
You're right, and I said this, I believe, in a couple episodes ago, they're going to be a slow starter team where they're just getting these slow gears going, and I believe the undefeated thing's probably over next week, but I believe that they'll, they get these gears churning. They're definitely going to the playoffs. They might even.
Well, they're in a crappy division.
Yeah,
they are in a crappy division. I mean, they're in there with Oakland, San Diego, and Kansas City.
Yeah.
So
they got that going.
I mean, they've already got a 3-game lead.
Yeah.
Then they're 2-0 in their division. So let's say they win that division. I'm just not a believer. We're seeing the Peyton Manning is just a shell of himself. I've got fantasy-wise on one of my teams. I've got Demaryius Thomas. The points aren't there. The production's not there. They're winning with defense, which defense wins championships. But I'm still not that impressed.
He's not. I don't know. He's still got the arm, but he's having to do a lot more to make plays happen than he used to. And you see that a lot later. You saw it with Brett Favre. He came back to Minnesota and tore it up, but then the next season he just looked like an old man.
Yeah.
Another team we haven't mentioned that's the last one in this, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's 5-0.
Yeah, that's.
And Andy Dalton has looked better than I've seen him look. Certainly. Here's something else. That team, man, last year they were a running team. I mean, they went from
they've got
Giovanni
AJ Green
Bernard.
back.
Yeah, true. They went from Bernard being very productive in the early part of the season to Jeremy Hill being dominant in the back part of the season. Jeremy Hill's nowhere to be found this year.
Well, AJ Green wasn't there. When did he get hurt?
He was in and out. I'm kind of
he
beginning to think he wasn't
himself.
healthy all year. That's the way it's looking. Yeah,
they were playing him, but he wasn't there.
Yeah,
and now he's back.
Right.
So now we're seeing not as much running, but a lot of he's definitely spreading it out, which is something Dalton doesn't really ever do much. He kind of has his guys and he goes to them.
Well, and typically a lot of his stuff is short dump off stuff, and there's a lot of yards after the catch.
Yeah.
And I really haven't sat and watched a game this year, but
of Cincinnati,
but they're putting up a lot of points. And look, 5. However, again, though, they haven't won a game in the playoffs, I believe, since 1991. So,
oh wow,
they're probably going to win the division because they're in there with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is terrible. They're giving up 1,000 yards a game. Cleveland doesn't really have a legitimate quarterback, I don't feel. Pittsburgh doesn't have a legitimate quarterback now, but hopefully Big Ben is back after maybe one or at the most 2 more absences, and we'll see how they perform after that. So that gets us to New England and Green Bay. Do we agree that that's the cream of the NFL crop right now, or do you more of a one-loss team?
Talking about Green Bay and New England?
Yeah, or is somebody out there with one loss like maybe Arizona?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say New England. They're looking. I don't see any weaknesses, man.
Oh, this week, this coming up, New England plays at Indianapolis. Revenge. Speaking of revenge games.
Oh yeah, the Deflategate crap that started it all. This was supposed to be the game that Brady came back to.
It was,
and and
I remember saying in our football preview that the home team, whoever the home team was going to win this game. I scratched that. New England.
Bloodbath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm pretty sure that prediction is, what everyone else is feeling. I mean, because Andrew Luck, is he hurt? Is he hurt right now?
He's hurt.
Yeah. Anyways, that wraps us up today. Thank you for joining us on this episode 27. Go to theboomerandxshow.com. That's our website. Go on, contact us if you want to send us an email. Give us any ideas on show ideas. Any ideas on show ideas? That works. And we're on Twitter at BoomerandXShow. In the future, coming up, it's October, Halloween. We're going to do some scary stuff. Maybe bring Patrick Neff back on and do some scary movie stuff. So look forward to that. And, of course, every week we're going to bring you these sports shorts. And, John, I think I'm all out of words.
I was out of words about 35 seconds ago.
All right, man. I'm good here. Y'all take it easy.